Welcome back to Journey into Stories. Today I will be doing a weekly check-in from October 1st through the 13th of 2024. I skipped last week doing a weekly check-in because we had mic issues and we had to order some new mics off of Amazon. So hopefully you'll be able to hear me better this time. So it was a really great 2 weeks of reading. I read 5 books, and I'm going to go into a little bit of detail about each one. The first book, and I did write some notes since a couple of them were 2 weeks ago, and I don't remember everything. The first book was Strange Sally Diamond by Liz Nugent. I rated this 3 stars. I enjoyed reading about Sally. Sally's very sheltered. And growing up, her mom and dad keep it that way. In the very beginning of the book, she experiences loss of her dad, who was very, very important to her. He says something like, "When I die, just throw my body out to the trash," or whatever. And she takes that literally. She's quite the character, Sally. I really enjoyed her, and she discovers throughout the book that there's so many things she doesn't know about her history. There's bits and pieces that other people come up to her and know who she is and know things about her, but she doesn't know. She doesn't know her history. And throughout the book, you get to read letters that her dad wrote her explaining what happened to her in her young life and how she came to be their child through adoption. And it was a really, really great book. Some mystery involved with it, obviously, because like I said, she doesn't know history about her, but other people do. In the media, people in the where she lives, in the town where she lives. And she's just trying to figure that out. It was really fun to see relationships that she had with a few family members and some friends, and how she made some friends. Again, she was quite the character, and I enjoyed Sally quite a lot. It was really, really a good book. Okay, the next book I read was The New Couple in 5B by Lisa Unger. I also gave this 3 stars. This is about a married couple, Rosie and Chad. They're married. They're barely making ends meet. They inherit an apartment in historic Windermans in glamorous Murray Hill. There's a mystery around the apartment building and the tenants that have lived there. Many of the tenants have lived there decades and decades. And when Rosie and Chad first move in, they're very inviting, the tenants, and very warm to them. But then you find out that this apartment and the tenants have secrets. Is the place haunted? Many crimes have occurred, and Rosie looks into them to find out what's going on. The apartment building kind of becomes a character of its own. It's very mysterious, and I also wanted to know what crimes happened and why, and is the place haunted? What's going on with the doorman, what's going on with some of the characters that have lived there. There's quite a lot of twists and turns, mystery, and Rosie wants to get down to the bottom of it. I didn't care for her husband, Chad. I did enjoy reading about the uncle. The book was very creepy at times. Many twists and turns I didn't see coming. It was a very, very good writing. I did enjoy The New Couple in 5B, 3 stars. The third book I read was Do Not Disturb by Freida McFadden, and this book I gave 5 stars. I tend to always enjoy my time with Freida McFadden books. I love her writing. I love her as an author, her stories that she tells. And for the life of me, I try to figure out the twist And right when I think I figured something out, that there's a bigger twist that I didn't see coming. It starts with Quinn Alexander committing a crime in the very beginning of the book, and she goes on the run. She wants to get as far away as she can. While she's driving, a snowstorm hits, and she gets to the point where she can't drive anymore. She pulls off the road to a creepy, broken down, isolated Baxter motel due to the snowstorm, and she doesn't have a lot of money to spend, and the owner, Nick, cuts her a deal for the night, and so she's bound and determined first thing in the morning she wants to leave so the police don't find her there, because she's a few hours away but not many, and she doesn't want to get caught by the police for what has happened. There's a mystery around a woman across the parking lot in a window of a house. She sees somebody what she feels like is watching her. And who is this woman? Why is she looking out the window watching things happening at the motel? It just was quite the ride. Quinn thought that she would be able to leave in the morning, but due to the snow, will she be able to leave the motel and be able to drive safely, or is she stuck there, kind of like an isolated thing at the motel? I actually loved all of the characters in this book, good, bad, indifferent, loved them all, loved learning about their stories, and I completely was thrown off by the main twist of the book. I would highly recommend Do Not Disturb by Freida McFadden, or any other book by her. I've enjoyed every one. The fourth book I read has been on my bookshelves for, I don't know, a couple of years, and it's a book that I have tried to check out on Libby several times, and it seems like I'm always renewing the book, and then I never get to it, and I don't know why, because I've wanted to read it for quite some time. It's called The Five, The Untold Lives of the Women Killed by Jack the Ripper by Hallie Rubenhold. And this book I gave 4 stars. The 5 women that were Jack the Ripper's victims were Polly, Annie, Elizabeth, Catherine, and Mary Jane. They never knew each other. However, they all became famous due to having one thing in common: the year of their murders in 1888. I really enjoyed this book. I really enjoyed learning each of the stories of the 5 women and who became the victims of Jack the Ripper. It just made you realize they were real people, and not just learning about Jack the Ripper, but you were able to learn from the perspective of the victims. My favorite was Polly. Her story seemed to be the most sad and tragic to me, but all of them were also sad and tragic stories. I did enjoy each character. You learned about them basically from their birth, growing up, their childhood, relationships with spouses or parents or their children if they had any, or friends. You just got a full picture of each woman's life, and I really enjoyed that. It just was a really, really good book. I'm glad I finally read it, gave it 4 stars, and I highly recommend it. I always read about things that Jack the Ripper did and everything, but this was from a different point of view, from the victim's side of things. Made it feel more real because you were able to learn about each victim. So it was a really, really good book. 4 stars, highly recommend it. The final book I read was by an author that I've wanted to get to for a long time, Darcy Coates, and it was Dead of Winter. I also gave this 4 stars. I love this book because it was an isolated snowstorm thriller, which reminded me of Do Not Disturb, because we also had the isolated snowstorm. Krista is with the tour group. A snowstorm derails them, and they pull off the road in the Rocky Mountains to a deserted cabin where they think they'll be able to stay overnight, let the snowstorm go through, and leave in the morning. But what happens is the tour guide goes missing that evening, and in the morning they find his severed head outside of the cabin. Chaos happens, and Krista's with these 8 strangers, and who can she trust? Who killed the tour guide? She just wants to survive. She wants to survive, and she wants to figure out who she can trust and what's going on as many victims succumb to being murdered. So this was a good introduction to Darcy Coates, and I will be reading other books by this author. I really enjoyed Dead of Winter. With that, I enjoyed the 5 books over the past 2 weeks. Thank you all for just being patient, and anybody that watched the travel videos that finally went up, I'm thankful to you all. It was hot in Florida, very, very hot. I think every video I had my little fan out. But that was a lot of fun recording those stories in Magic Kingdom. I loved doing that for the Journey Reads. But I hope you're doing wonderful. I hope you're reading something fantastic, and be kind to yourself and each other. That's very, very important. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.